Hello, everybody. Right. Okay. So now we've got the recording set up. So we are covering, as I say, we are covering testimonials today. As I just said earlier, obviously, what we know is that testimonials are absolutely key to growing our practices, our schools, our retreats, whatever it is that you're doing, whatever your work is, you are selling something. And I know it's difficult for us as natural healthcare practitioners to conceptualize ourselves as salespeople, but yeah, we are. I mean, no ifs, buts, and maybes. We're marketers and we're salespeople. We have to be. We have to be entrepreneurial. And so, what I want to do first of all is tell you a little bit about how this session is scheduled. It's not a huge, great, long one, but there's method in that madness, and that is that I do think that we may well have questions, and it might actually be a good group for some discussions. So, as always, if you would like to do so, please, I'm going to turn my chat on. If you would like to leave me any messages, if you've got any messages at all, or any questions as we go along, then that's absolutely fine. Drop them in the chat. So what we're covering today is, in fact, I've got some notes on my screen. It might be easier for me to take them from there. The different kinds of social proof, what it is and how to get it. And I'll talk about what social proof actually means. And it's quite nuanced, actually, strangely enough. We're also going to be looking at where and how should we use testimonials. We're also looking at whom, so from whom we should get our testimonials, and how to ask for them. It's really important knowing how and when, precisely when to ask for them, so you do get a response. And we're also going to be looking at written and video testimonials, what needs to be said in these. And then finally, what I'll cover off for you today are the two things you must never, ever, ever do legally, ethically, and from a response maximizing perspective. Now, it's quite interesting because I was doing one of my, we've recently done the course on resilience and positive psychology. Well, I was doing a mentoring and assessment session with one of the attendees from the course, and he was saying that he keeps asking for testimonials, but people say, yeah, sure, I'll get one of those across to you, and they just never do it. So what I'm hoping to do in this session is to actually sort of see if we can stop all of that hassle in some sort of a way that's really elegant and simple and actually makes life easy for you. So that's the plan anyway. So first of all, one of the things that one of the reasons why people buy your products or services is because they know that other people just like them have used your products or services and liked them. It's called social proof, and it includes testimonials. So what exactly is social proof? Now, I know that many of you, if you come from a marketing background, you will know, but there's some really interesting research in this. And I think, that as you know, I'm a firm believer in evidence-based everything. And I would never expect you to take anything I said on face value. I really do believe that it's a courtesy to tell you, what the research is and where it's come from, so that you can decide whether or not it's relevant for you. Okay, so social proof, as we know, is a psychological phenomenon where people conform to the actions of others under the assumption that those actions are reflective of the correct behavior. So marketers actually use social proof as a tactic for conversion rate optimization by easing the mind of worried consumers. So what does that actually mean in the real world? Well, what it actually means is that we are herd animals, essentially, aren't we? We've evolved over the years to be very conformist socially, very, very conformist. And the reason for that is because it's an adaptive behavior that we had to develop when we were sort of living in tribes, in caves, and so on. Because the problem was, if you didn't conform with the tribe, then what would happen is that you would become an outcast. and you wouldn't have been able to survive on your own. We human beings have developed this thing called reciprocity, which means that, if somebody does something for you, you end up doing something for them. And it's this really evolutionary concept. The person to read on reciprocity is Robert Cialdini, Cialdini, Robert Cialdini, absolutely phenomenal research scientist. I believe he's at Stanford now. And if you read his work on reciprocity, it really does make the marketing and sales and just all of the things that we need to do to be entrepreneurs and to grow our practices, our schools, our retreats, and so on. It really puts everything into perspective, and it makes such complete common sense. So he's the guru, really, of how, without being horribly manipulative, how we get people to do and take the actions that we want them to take. Now, I'm not one of these marketers that does this very, and apologies to anybody listening from America, but I will say it. It's a very American sales model whereby, you find out what the person's pain point is, and then you push and push and push on that point of pain until the person feels so bad about their life or their situation or whatever that they're just literally begging you for the solution. You come riding on your white charger to be the solution of, to this person's horrific, awful, that you've basically ground them down to be in a really, really sorry state. Personally, I think it's absolutely abhorrent. I think it's manipulative. I think it's absolutely disgusting behavior, and it's nothing that I think any of us in this group. I don't believe it's anything that any of us in this group would do. But it is this American sales system. I do not like it one little bit. So so the reason for mentioning this is because Cialdini talks about this sort of thing, but he talks about how we don't have to push on the pain buttons, and how we can, by doing kind actions, by doing lovely things for people, by demonstrating to people that they are in the right place and moving them to a comfort zone. What then happens is that they are more then likely to be helpful to you, to be reciprocal, to actually, actively engage in acts of reciprocity. So as I say, go and look at Robert Cialdini for that information. His books are absolutely amazing. They are very, very easy reads because they're so enjoyable. So take a look at him. I love his work. So, okay, so the idea, as we said, with social proof is that the reason that we use testimonials is because they illustrate, they act as social proof that other people, just like the person that's reading your website or wherever you've put your testimonials or your reviews, is looking at people just like that and going, oh, that person's quite like me. They like this person offering these disciplines, these practices. So maybe that means that it's the right thing for me as well. Okay, so that's where we're starting to come from here. And what happens when you've got great social proof, what actually happens is that your conversion rate massively increases. So a conversion rate is really, as I'm sure you appreciate, is the numbers of people that, for example, hit your website or hit your Facebook page or wherever it is, and actually then go on and take an action, as in making an appointment to see you, or booking on your retreat, or booking your course, or whatever it is that you're doing. So that's conversion rates for you. So there's no denying the power of social proof. Studies show that 92% of online customers look at a product review or a service review prior to making a purchase. That's research from BizRate Insight. BizRate Insight is a very interesting website that you can go to, and it just gives you this phenomenal insight with stats and infographics and all sorts of really geeky things that are actually fascinating. And I do use it. It does inform my business strategy and decisions. So it's well worth taking a look at BizRate, BIZRATE Insight. So more telling even than that is the fact that a product or that product or service reviews are 12 times more trusted than product descriptions and sales copy from manufacturers or from people like us, service providers. So, so what we say on our website is almost kind of neither here nor there in a way. It's actually what other people say about us that is the thing that actually makes people go, oh yes, I think I'm going to buy this product, or I'm going to phone this person to make an appointment, or whatever action, whatever call to action you have on your website. So a call to action is just basically, if you like, a button saying call me or contact me or whatever it is. It's asking somebody to take an action that moves them further towards coming to see you or booking on your course or coming to your retreat. Okay, so the stats. Let's get geeky now, shall we? Because you know me, I love a few statistics. As I say, I'll never give you anything unless I've actually researched it. So according to Revu, that's REEVOO, 50 or more reviews per product can mean a 4.6% increase in conversion rates. Now, obviously, we're talking here about actual products, sort of bottles of essential oil or whatever it is. They're probably looking at stats. This is generalization. This is general sales across the internet, but it does illustrate, and we are selling. So remember, we are selling. I know it's difficult for us as practitioners because, we don't really like to think in terms of ourselves as being salespeople or marketing people, but generally speaking and genuinely speaking, if we're going to keep roofs over our heads and stay in business, helping more people doing the work we love, we have to sell. End of story. So yeah, it's gone are the days where, somebody might say, oh, I need to see a homeopath. People might have said that back in the 70s because it might have been the groovy thing to do and their friend might have done it. But you're in a very, very much more saturated market now. So this is why we've got to get the point across about what it is that you do. And your testimonials will help you do that. More stats for you. 63% of customers are more likely to make a purchase from a site which has user reviews. That's from iPerceptions. Site visitors who interact with both reviews and customer questions and answers are literally 105% more likely to purchase while visiting and spend 11% more than visitors who don't interact. Now, that I thought was really fascinating. Again, it really underpins why we've got to get these testimonials up on our websites. And literally, whilst we've got a captive audience, whilst we've got the person on the page, this is the power of the testimonial or the review. It's going to give you a potential uplift of 105 plus percent. And if you didn't have them, okay. Consumer reviews, so testimonials, for want of another word, are significantly more trusted, nearly 12 times more. I'm just going to fiddle with my Wi-Fi there. There we go, turn it off because I need to go on my super fast connected thing. Right, so consumer reviews are significantly more trusted, nearly 12 times more than descriptions that come from manufacturers, according to a survey of US internet users by the online video review site Expo. So what that means, consumer reviews, our testimonials are significantly more trusted, nearly 12 times more than our own descriptions, as I said earlier. And according to Revu, REEVOO reviews produce an average 18% uplift in sales. In other words, consumers or clients or students or our retreat guests or whomever it is we're selling to want proof from their peers, i.e. people just like them, because they believe that they are unbiased third parties and they don't really trust us as the brand and what we say. It's not to say that they don't trust us, but it's more difficult to get their trust. And there's another issue with a lot of the words that I see on people's websites is that because we've all spent so blooming long getting our qualifications, it's been effort, it's been time, it's been blood, sweat and tears in my case, and I'm sure probably your case as well. It's really bloody hard to get our qualifications, as we all know. We've worked so hard for them. And we're very proud of what we offer and the standards that we offer and so on. And so we do tend to err towards, and I catch myself doing this all the time, we err towards using jargon. And as I keep explaining, nobody cares what you do. This is more particular for practitioners, okay? Nobody really cares if you are an aromatherapist, a reflexologist, a homeopath, an acupuncturist, a nutritionist, or whatever it is you do, because these are people who are looking for a solution. They know they've got a health issue, right? And so they're looking for a solution to that health issue. At the point that they're looking for this solution, they probably don't know whether they need acupuncture or nutrition or reflexology or whatever it is. All they want to know is this person going to get me out of the pain that I'm currently experiencing? Whether that pain is a physical pain, a psychological pain, a spiritual pain, or whatever it is, there is some sort of dis-ease, discomfort that actually really is putting them into a situation that they know that they need to actually get out of, okay? And so what we've got to do is we've got to get across to them the point that of what essentially what's in it for them. All the person is asking when they come to your site, and I know I bang on about this all the time, but it does bear repeating. It's one of the most important things we need to think about when we're writing copy for our websites. You've got to think about putting yourself in the other person's shoes and answering the question, what's in it for me? Now, you know, I'm going to tell you at this point to go over and watch my avatar video on the Complementary Medical Association YouTube channel. Now, for those of you who are new today, and I know we have got some new people, I'm just going to tell you your top tip for the day is when you go to YouTube, type in its full extent, Complementary Medical Association, because if you don't put that in, what's going to happen is if you put in the CMA, you'll get to the Country Music Association channel, and which is fine. As I always say, if you want to binge watch Dolly Parton videos, and there's nothing wrong with that, and I think that's a very healthy thing to do. But if you want the videos that are going to grow your practice or your school, then you've got to go to the Complementary Medical Association YouTube channel. Put in the whole word, and make sure you spell complementary correctly, not with an I. That's one of my bugbears. Spell complementary correctly. So anyway, and I just want to say, Lauren, I've just seen you come into the room. Hello, my lovely. I explained to everybody that you've been traveling today and that you might be a little bit late into the room. Lauren Johnson, by the way, everybody, is our lovely new lady who's joined the CMA, whom I was talking about earlier. So Lauren, lovely to see you in the room again. So what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about the various different types of social proof that are available to us as practitioners and course tutors. So obviously the first one, and the main reason we're here today, and we're going to go into this in much more depth for those of you who are late joining, at the very top of the video I did explain what we're going to be covering today. So what I just want to say is that we are going to be really delving deep into testimonials, how to get them, what to say, blah, 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 right at the end. Okay, but first I want to talk about how to get social proof. So I'm working on the assumption that it'll be easy enough once I've explained to you and taught you how to get testimonials, both written and video. What you need to know, though, is what to do with them and where to place them and where to find them. Okay, so we'll do all of that later. But right now, let's talk about how to actually kind of gather social proof to grow your business. Okay, so one of the first big social proof things, bearing in mind that social proof is all about messages from people just like your target audience. So go and watch that avatar video. Perhaps the most commonly used form of social proof is the customer testimonial. Now, according to research done by Nielsen, 92% of people will trust a recommendation from a peer, and 70% of people will trust a recommendation from somebody they don't even know, which is shockingly high. So we do know, of course, that word of mouth, you know, if we're not in a lockdown situation when people are allowed to travel and talk to each other and so on and so on and so on, of course, obviously, if somebody says to you, hey, I just saw the most amazing acupuncturist, then, you know, your friend is likely to say, well, actually, gosh, that sounds really good. Can you give me their details? Word of mouth is numero uno, of course, for growing businesses. We know that. But amazingly, 92% of people will trust a recommendation from a peer, even if it's written. Now, peer doesn't have to be somebody they know. It can be a person on the internet who clearly has the same sort of desire or need as that particular person that's reading the testimonial. So what do I mean by that? Perhaps they've got the same physical condition, perhaps they've still, perhaps they've got the same insomnia, perhaps they've got the same depression, perhaps they've got the same XYZ, I don't know, but it's got to all be relevant. And we're going to come on to that a bit later when we talk about the nitty-gritty of testimonials. So let's have a little look at more information on that. Most shoppers online, so this is people visiting our websites and whatnot, are more likely to purchase if a product or service has between 50 to 100 reviews. Now, I know that's difficult for us. Now, that does pertain more to things like Amazon, where you've got a heck of a lot of reviews, okay? But for us, if we have a testimonial page, and I'm going to tell you how to do that at the end, if we've got a testimonial page that's peppered with lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of testimonials, or if you have a slider on your own website that actually has a testimonial, and then it slides along, and then you'll see another testimonial, another testimonial, another testimonial. It slides along again. This is really, really basic programming. If you can't do it yourself, if you've created your own website, just get somebody to do it for you. It's super, super easy widget to put on your website. So that's where I put my testimonials on my own website. And the new CMA website that's being built, we're going to have lots and lots and lots of your lovely testimonials on there. Again, on a slider. So it's constantly changing so that, the person just goes, my goodness, they may not even read them all, but what they're doing is very, very subconsciously, they're going, wow, this person, or even faced with a testimonial page, lots and lots and lots of testimonials on the page, they'll be going, this, let me just, Sarah, you're not muted. There we go, you are now. Right, okay. This person's, they're going to look at this and they're going to look, wow, this person has got so many people, just like me, saying that they really like this service. Does this all make sense so far? Can you give me a thumbs up? And yeah, is everybody happy? Good. Any questions, drop them in the chat box, okay? So it's why almost all big brands show customer testimonials on their websites. Now, as we know, Amazon is the world's largest online retailer. And as we know, they live or die by the reviews that they have. And I know that if I'm buying something online, my personal experience is that I do like to see reviews, even if it's a book review from Goodreads or books online, etc. All of those things are very, very meaningful. I believe they're meaningful. It's why, with my latest book, Rewind Your Body Clock, so I've said to you, could you please drop me a review? Because they really, really matter. They really help other people work out whether this book or whatever it is going to be good for them and relevant to them. So the next thing from the review perspective is, now I've got it noted down here as celebrity endorsements. Wow. I'm not talking about getting a review from Kim Kardashian or somebody like that. I'm talking a bit more appropriate for our kind of work. So celebrities and well-known industry experts are great resources when it comes to establishing authority and proving your value. So this is why we have set up that new CMA members benefit, which is the CMA showcase video. All right, that's where you and I, as a CMA member, this is one of your benefits, you and I hop on a Zoom call and we do a quick interview. So what is actually happening is that you've got two endorsements there from industry leaders. One industry leader being the CMA, so it's you're being presented on the Complementary Medical Association YouTube channel, and you also get a copy of this video, so you can use this video on your website. You've got me as an industry leader, the industry leader, if some people would say, actually interviewing you and asking you and about your the work that you do, the resources you offer, the way that you help people, the transformation you provide. And so, it really, really does emphasize So you've got two massive endorsements there already. So these things do count because people go, oh, that's interesting, isn't it? It's another reason that we give you the CMA logo because, as you know, again, all evidence-based, we know from our research that that logo is highly, highly recognizable. So if you put the CMA logo on your website as a CMA member, obviously only CMA members are allowed to use it because it's actually our registered trademark. So, you know, it's a serious matter if somebody uses it and they're not a CMA member. That's actually illegal. So the point is that, you know, we've got all of these endorsement methods for you to really underpin and boost your credibility. So that's another form of social proof for you. Another thing that you can consider doing are things like social media takeovers. These are a great way to expand your influence to an audience that may be interested in what you have to offer, but aren't necessarily familiar with your work already. In a social media takeover, an influencer or expert will literally take over the posting on your social networks for a certain amount of time. So, for example, if you have let's say an Instagram channel, page, yeah, it's Insta page, yes. Getting muddled up with my channels and pages. If you've got an Insta page, then what actually happens is you'll say to an industry leader, an influencer, somebody who's got a lot of followers, would you like to do a takeover on my page for a day? And it means basically that they've got free reign to post about whatever they want to talk about or whatever they want to post on the page and things like that. Now, what actually happens as a result is that all of their followers will see that they are on your page and they'll be coming to your page going, wow, that's really interesting. Ooh, and they'll follow you. It's an amazing way of getting more followers. It's a really, really effective way. You will, of course, need to make sure that the celebrity or influencer that you are asking or offering your takeover to is somebody who's completely and utterly 100% on message with what you are promoting. So for me, for example, you know, with my Insta, I've got about 30,000 followers at the moment and growing rapidly. I would only, for example, because of the philosophy of where I'm coming from the evidence-based perspective, I would only choose somebody who is a complementary medical practitioner, who is a CMA member, who's actually recommending and endorsing a whole food plant-based diet, and the types of exercise that I recommend and so on, again, based on research, because that's what that is what the research says. So for that, if my, let's say my influencer that I'd invited to do the takeover suddenly started promoting burgers, it would totally trash my message. So you've got to be very, very careful. But if you've got somebody who you respect and has a good following, then invite them, because the thing is with all of us on things like Insta and so on, we are always looking to expand our reach. So myself included, I've been working very hard to get up to the numbers I've got so far. Good organic growth, good solid organic growth, but it needs to grow further. Right, okay, let's have a little look at my notes. You can do a takeover on YouTube as well. You can do a takeover on Facebook, on your Facebook work page, your business page. Again, it's got to be on message, so you'd probably would brief and agree certain parameters with the influencer beforehand. So the next thing to do is to host experts. Inviting expert guests to contribute to your social media platforms or blog is a great way to use social proof. Your followers and others who stumble upon guest posts tend to attribute the expert's authority to you, since it's your platform that's being used to share the message. Plus, followers will look to you as a source of knowledge in the future, even though you're acting just as a host, as a distributor. So again, it's slightly different from a takeover. This is actually, you could interview the person. You could do a Facebook Live with the person, for example. You could do a nice Zoom interview and record it and put it up on your YouTube channel, or even put it in your, you could put it on your Insta, or you could put it on your Facebook, or wherever it is that you have videos. You could even theoretically have a nice video page on your website as well. My caveat to that is that if you are uploading video to YouTube and then making a link from YouTube to place your video onto your website, remember that because of YouTube's algorithm, at the end of your video, you know how it comes up with more suggested videos for the person to watch? Because of the algorithm, they know what you're into. They will then start to show your competitors. So the way around that, the fix for that, is to get yourself a free Vimeo account. Okay, your video will be marked Vimeo, but it really doesn't matter that much. You can get a paid account if you start doing more video work. Okay, video is the most important thing you can have on your website, by the way. We'll come on to that a bit later. So the next thing I would love to see on your websites and on your socials are case studies. While more formal in nature, case studies are often used to provide high authority social proof. It's long-term social proof, and case studies really leverage the idea that customers perceive long, in-depth user reviews, or if you like, a case study in our language, as being far more reputable than brief excerpts. So one of the things that I always teach is, and I teach this, for example, on the Resilience and Positive Psychology course, each one of the modules that I've created for my students to go out, and my grads to go out and teach, if they're on the licentiate level track, is they've got a beautiful presentation, and then at the end, I've left a blank slide for them where it literally gives, and it just says about me. I then ask them to take that slide out, put their contact details slide on at the end, and then whilst that contact details slide is up on the screen behind them when they're presenting, they can then, and I always say, give 3 very highly targeted and relevant case studies. Keep them brief, but really, really relevant, targeted to the audience you're speaking to. Obviously, of course, making sure that the audience you're speaking to is relevant to the work that you want to do, that these are people that you want to actually be working with. There's honestly no point, if you've done the avatar work and you've decided that your core audience is, let's say, mums of teens, then if you suddenly get a speaking engagement at the local rugby club, then, and it's all the rugby players, then really, it's not going to be so relevant for them. So you may as well take the gig, but don't expect much business, or don't expect your core audience to appear out of that talk, because they're not going to, are they? Stands to reason, it's completely logical. But if you've done your homework and you know exactly who you're targeting, and you have taken speaking gigs, speaking engagements, where your core audience is sitting there right in front of you, if you then give them 3 case studies of how you've helped people just like them, you will get not a standing ovation, you will get what's called a running ovation, which is people running up to the front to grab your details, grab your card, make an appointment with you. That's how it happens. That's how the magic happens. And it's all about targeting. So this is what we're doing today. This is what we're covering. And I know it's kind of, this is still all about testimonials, but this is really delving deep into the psychology and the nitty-gritty of social proof, reviews, and testimonials. I hope it's helpful. So the next thing I really want you to look at are media mentions. Have you ever, or has your service ever been mentioned in the media? It includes things like magazine features, unsolicited reviews, TV segments, podcast interviews, and so on. If possible, take excerpts from these media mentions and paste them on your website to establish authority. Now, that's obviously what we're giving you with your CMA showcase interview. So yes, that is a media mention. The other thing I really want you to do is to get Haro, HARO.com. I know I've mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again for anybody who hasn't heard me talk about this before. It stands for Help a Reporter Out, Haro. Sign up for that and sign up in the health section. You don't want sort of like, popular mechanics and science and this, that, and the other. You must sign up in the relevant category. Otherwise, you'll just be inundated with media requests for things that you're not an expert in. So what happens with Haro is you can set the number of times per day you receive notifications. You'll get emails from a group of journalists, and you'll see the topics. It's a really cleverly laid out email. It goes topic, 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 topic. You can click on one thinking, oh, that looks good. It'll then take you down further down the page, and it says Marie Claire magazine, looking for an expert in nutrition to talk about insomnia. And you think, oh, do you know what? I can, yeah, contact the journalist. You contact the journalist, and then this is one of the most amazing ways of growing your business, because that is an in-print media testimonial to you and your brilliance and your services. Okay, so I bet you hadn't thought of that as being a testimonial, but it is. Okay, our wonderful CMA member Rebecca Lockwood. Sorry, I'm just going to grab my water. Excuse me one sec. The beautiful, amazing, lovely, and talented Rebecca Lockwood, just before last Christmas, did this fantastic CMA tutorial where she was talking about how she grew her business. Right at for those of you that don't know, right at the very beginning of lockdown, just as we did, Rebecca looked at what was going on. She was teaching NLP and transformational work to people face-to-face live. She looked at what was happening and she cried for 24 hours, as we all did, and then thought, okay, put my big girl pants on, pull them right up and get on with it. And she looked at what she could do. She flipped. I do believe, I may well be, I think I'm right in saying that she looked at one of the first videos we did when we realized we were going to have to get online and help you guys and support you guys out and you know, show you how to create courses and put things up online and pivot online and all the rest of it. She looked at that, she went, okay, fine, that's how I do it. I get online and I start teaching this material online as an online course. So she did. She'd forecasted at the beginning of 2020 that she would probably turn over about 60,000 for that year teaching face-to-face. She closed out the year when she did that interview with me just prior to Christmas last year, closed out the year at 260,000. So doesn't it just go to show that, you know, the strangest and most amazing things can happen if we apply ourselves? And she shared so generously about how she massively grew her business. And it was one of the things was through Haro. So what I'm telling you here, it has been proven to work. And I know loads of people that do this. If you watched Ali Campbell's interview a couple of weeks ago, Ali was saying the thing that massively grew his business was print. You know, and was newspaper columns. And he used case studies. So he contacted a friendly journalist and said, look, you know, and journalists, I'll be honest with you, journalists are desperate for information. Do a journalist job for them and they will keep hitting you up for more stories and more information. This is the way it works in media. Journalists are so stressed out, they're so busy, they actually half the time don't have time to even do their own work. I have given the example many, many times. If you haven't heard it, it does bear repeating. I used to ghostwrite for a particular journalist on the Sunday Times. And he would contact me at, you know, the 11th hour and say, Jayney, I've got to write this natural health article, back in the day, alternative health article. I haven't got time to do it. Could you possibly do it? But I will obviously name check the CMA. And I will mention you in the article. I would say, absolutely fine, no problem. So there I am, burning the midnight oil. It happened again and again and again. And then eventually what happened, and I wasn't getting paid for it, but the advertising, that, you know, the revenue, the ad revenue, if I'd had to take out a page in the Sunday Times, back then it would have been at least 10,000 just to get a mention in the Sunday Times. So it was worth my while to ghostwrite those articles for very little thanks and no money. But here's the thing. Then what happened was he eventually, guilt caught up with him and he said, you know what? He said, I'm going to cover you and the Complementary Medical Association in a two-page piece, double-page spread in the Sunday Times. Now, boy, oh boy, did that pay dividends, you know, not just from the perspective of getting more members, but actually from the perspective of getting the public to sit up and take notice. So, wow, you know, here's complementary medicine. Wow, there is a standard setting body. Wow, there is a lead body in this field. Wow, we are as consumers being protected by this organization because they've got all these fantastic and thoroughly vetted members. You see, so it got the public to sit up and start to take notice big time. And then they were, of course, then hitting the website and then booking with CMA members. So, you know, it all goes round in these amazing virtuous circles. So there we go. So print is fantastic. And then get elements of that and put them on your website. So if you've got a nice article from your Sun, Marie Claire, Daily Mail, wherever it is, doesn't matter where it is, or even if it's a snippet on a website, copy and paste, stick it on your website, because all of this is media proof that you are legit, that you are a force to be reckoned with, and you're offering this amazingly professional service. Because if you weren't, people wouldn't be writing about you, would they? The next thing, social proof wise, are certificates and badges. If your business has certain industry certifications, i.e. your CMA membership, or accreditations, i.e. your CMA membership, you can proudly display these on your website. Now, please don't forget about that. And my next top tip is search engine optimization. When you join the CMA, as you know, what happens is you get your CMA logo. You can put that onto your website and on your other marketing materials as well. But on your website, make sure that that is a link back to the CMA website. Okay, so if anybody mouses over it, they will actually, a page will open with the CMA website on it. So again, the reason we suggest you do that is because, again, it's social proof. It means that the person hitting your website goes, oh, what's that? They're a member of this organization. What is that? They'll go to the site and they'll be able to read all about it and understand just how prestigious it is to be a CMA member. So again, that confers prestige to you. Also, what it does, because you're connecting to the CMA site, and as you know, you've got your CMA, your own CMA webpage on the CMA site, and on that we allow you to put your website address that then links to your site. Now, because the CMA is one of the world's biggest health websites, it means that as a result, your website, because you're linked backwards and forwards, it means that your website is massively boosted in search engine rankings. So that is a really, really neat and easy trick to do. Okay, I thoroughly recommend you do that. Do it yourself or get somebody to do it for you, but please don't miss that trick. It's really important. So the next thing then is to look at our repeat clients and loyalty. A really powerful way to leverage the power of your existing clients for social proof is by surveying them and then stating the percent of customers who would, or clients would, come back to you again. So talking about repeat business, you can say in your blurb, if you feel it appropriate on your site and with the work that you do, just have a look at your stats. How many of the people that you've worked with have come back to you? How much repeat business do you get? If you find that statistic is quite a high percentage, then incorporate that. Something like 95% of my clients are former clients and or existing clients, and you can even, if you're running a waiting list, then you can even actually talk about and I have a small waiting list, please click here to join my waiting list. Now, it's a very shrewd move, and when you get busy, it's very, very good to advertise the fact that you've got a waiting list. But here's the thing. It's a very shrewd move that's used by clubs, for example. You know how very, very upmarket clubs will say, we've got a waiting list, and you've then got to jump through the hoops for approval and so on and so forth. It's actually, what that is, it's called a scarcity tactic, because we human beings are strange creatures. We love anything that we think is scarce because of FOMO, fear of missing out. It's this inbuilt, bizarre human thing. I don't know why we do this. There is a reason, but I'm not sure why. We hate the idea of missing out on anything. So if there's a waiting list, they want to be on the waiting list because they don't want to miss out. Because what it implies is that there are lots and lots and lots and lots of other people who are using this product, service, retreat, or course, or whatever it is. So you might want to actually play with that as a tactic, and then maybe in a week's time go back to the person and say, oh, just let you know that I've now got space for you. It's an interesting one, and we can try all of these things, and it just depends on sort of how you feel about that and whether it works for you. And I mean, I do have a waiting list for my clients. So I can legitimately say, well, yes, I will put you on the waiting list. I do triage my clients. If they are very, 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 very unwell and need immediate attention, obviously, then they do sort of move up the list a little bit more quickly. But if they are just, if it's just lifestyle stuff, and they just want to sort out some really quite sort of basic issues, then they can sort of wait a little bit longer and wait for a couple of weeks or so for me to be able to actually then get them in and scheduled. Does that make sense, everybody? Give me a thumbs up if if that's, yeah, great, thank you. Okay, lovely. So now back to actual testimonials. Where should we put testimonials? Well, what I'd love you to do on your website would be to set up a testimonial page. As we know from earlier, testimonials boost your conversion rate and inspire trust in your practice or school, whatever it is. Use testimonials on a standalone page. Now, generally speaking, you can use the word testimonials, but I like what people say, or you could put them on your about page, your landing page, or even incorporate them in other places, like, if you're sending out a newsletter, for example, always incorporate testimonials in your newsletter. Very, very important. Or also on your email signature. If you actually send out emails and you've got a preset signature file, if you're using something like Gmail or Hotmail or Outlook or any of those things, then you can actually set that automatically, and you can actually just kind of preset it all so that you're not constantly typing it all in again and again and again. As you know, you just create templates. I prefer things like what people say, because it's a bit more, it's the language that people use. Again, you've got to put yourself in your client's shoes. Your client wants to know what people say about you. They don't want to know about, your client isn't thinking in terms of testimonials. It's the word that we use professionally, but it's not the kind of languaging that people out there use. People want to know what other people just like them say. So that's what I would put. I would have a whole page, what people say. Also, you need to put testimonials on your landing page. So as soon as people get to your site, I really want them seeing your testimonials. It's really important, even if it's a little bit like a slider, like I was telling you earlier on. In fact, actually, what I will do is I will go to my site. If you bear with me one sec, I'm going to share my screen with you. Jayney Goddard. There we go. Okie dokie. Right. Let's take it. There we go. All right. Okay. I'm going to show you what's quite good about my site. I'm then going to show you what's bad about it. Okay. And I need to sort out. So let that be a lesson to you. Right. Okay. This is the one I want to share. Okay, loves. So here's my website. There's my signature. So I don't have a logo. This is my logo, Jayney Goddard. Right, so I haven't got a testimonials page. I've got about Jayney, I've got gifts. These are all my giveaways, my lead magnets. This is really important. This is the biological age test. That's where you can log in. Go away. There we go. So that's my pop-up that allows you to subscribe to get all my goodies and so on. Okay, then about my latest book, then my private Facebook group, and then contact us. But here, so now why I said why my site is not good, and it's only because I didn't have time to do it, because the site had to get up really, really quickly because of this biological age test. Because when my book was published, in the book I mentioned the biological age testing facility on my website, where people can log in and do certain tests on themselves and then log the details and monitor their age rewind progress. It's a really interesting thing. If you haven't done it yet, go to my site. It's jayneygoddard.com. So look, this is what I was talking about when I was talking about testimonials. Right, there we go. So when I was talking about a slider, so that is, as you see, you've got testimonials there, and they after a little while they all slide across. So you'll see that. Okay. And then if the person wants to flick through them, they can just click on the arrow here at the side. Okay. Right. Okay. So that's that. And then obviously I've got a bit too much information. You see, again, this is not great. What should actually be here is more video. Video needs to be either up the top or easily accessible. And then obviously you've then got more social proof down here with all of these logos of places that, for example, I've been featured. Okay, so that's really what you want there. Or if you've got any logos of any media that you've been in, you need to make sure that is on your page. Okay, so let's come back to you. Right, so now let me come back to, right, lovely. Okay, just get my notes back up again. Right, okay. Yeah, another rich source of testimonials that you may not know you have are things like online reviews. Another thing that you can do, I don't know if you've got this set up, but have you got Google notifications at all set up on your in your email? You can actually go to Google and you can actually set up Google notifications so that if your name is mentioned online, or if your practice name or your retreat name is mentioned anywhere, then you might not happen to stumble across it. The internet's a blooming great big place, isn't it? But what I'm saying is that if you have these Google notifications set up in your inbox on a fairly regular basis, you'll see an email come through and it will actually show you where you've been mentioned. And for example, one of the things I do is I have Rewind Your Body Clock mentioned. So I track mentions of that. I track mentions of my name. I track mentions of the Complementary Medical Association so that I can see what's actually being said. And a lot of the time, those will be wonderful reviews. Sometimes it might be some troll saying something horrid. So what? It doesn't matter, does it? Sad people, send them some love, move swiftly on. Never, ever engage with trolls. Do not respond to them. Do not answer them. Ignore them. Send them some love, move swiftly on. That's the way to deal with them. But yeah, so if you set up this notification, Google notifications, what actually happens is you'll be able to see if somebody said something lovely about you online that you may not otherwise be aware of. It will notify you that you've got a really lovely review there somewhere coming out of the blue. So that's another place. Now, the next easiest place is your current Facebook business page. I'm assuming that you've all got a Facebook business page. If not, even if you really abhor and hate Facebook to the nth degree, it really doesn't matter. It's just a business tool. It is worth getting yourself a Facebook business page because I can guarantee you that your demographic, many of your demographic will be on Facebook. So just get yourself a business page if you haven't got one already, and start to ask people to put reviews up. It's really important that you get good Facebook reviews because what it does is it enables other people just like them. Because of the algorithm, it will then present your page to other people with those same interests. So by having reviews, you are doing a really effortless form of marketing that you're not even paying for. Obviously, if you want to start doing things like Facebook ads, then you have to pay. And that's fine because Facebook is a business, so be it. It's just one of those things. But, it's amazing. You may find that you've got fantastic reviews on Facebook that you can literally copy and paste and put on your website. So it's always really good to do that. We at the CMA, we get a ton of reviews. People get their wonderful membership packs, their welcome packs, and they aren't expecting them. We don't prime people and tell them what to expect. We just send it, and then we get these amazing reviews from people saying, "Wow, that's fabulous. I wasn't expecting that. That's really lovely." And so, we get these wonderful things, and then people saying, "Yes, welcome. It's a fantastic place to be." Or the other thing that we put up weekly is our stats. We've got 25 new members this week. 9 practitioners, 6 colleges, 4 overseas members, 5 students, and we tell everyone. We say welcome. Welcome to the CMA family. We're here to help you. We're here to support you, and we're just only ever a phone call or an email or a social media message away. And it just helps people feel as though they are our new members feel as though they're really part of something wonderful, which they are. But also, what they feel is that it's a sense of belonging. And then other people if they're on the fence and wavering, should I join the CMA or not? They'll look at that and they'll go, wow. So the CMA really engages with their members, and then you've got all these people saying, "Oh, welcome! It's a fantastic organisation. Welcome! Oh, they really look after you. Welcome! You should see the membership pack." And so we get all of that, and we haven't even started using those testimonials. But at some point we're going to. I do copy and paste them, and at some point we will actually start using them because they're absolutely beautiful. They're beautiful, and they're gold dust. They're really lovely, kind things that people say. I've just seen a quick question come up. Natalie James says, could I put the author's name in here, please? I wasn't quick enough to write it down. Natalie Jane, I think you mean Robert Cialdini. Yeah, he's Professor Robert Cialdini, and I believe at the moment, he's working at Stanford, and he used to be at LSE, and he's absolutely awesome, and I love him. He's such a great writer, and he's all about kind, reciprocity, and social persuasion. That's really his thing. It's all about persuasion. Right, okay, let's have a look at my notes again, and yeah, I think we're right. Okay, lovely. So what I'm going to do, where should we get testimonials? Where else should we get testimonials from? Well, as we know, testimonials are most effective if they are from people just like your target audience. As I say, go and watch that avatar video to work out exactly who your target audience is. Also, not at the same time, because I don't want you watching 2 videos at once, because that would not be good, would it? Watch the niche video. Okay, those are the 2 most important videos, really, for the purposes of this discussion. So you get really, really, really super clear on who you're targeting, and then really, really, really super clear on precisely what the niche is that you are creating. I've got one of my private mentoring students. She's an amazing, amazing lady, and she does a fantastic service that it's like a fusion of medical astrology and nutrition, and she does the most incredible work with people. And so we're working out, because it's essentially it's a new discipline, so we're working out between us in our private mentoring sessions exactly how she is going to package that to get the information out. And we're going great guns with it. It's really, really super exciting. But this is all about when you create a niche, when you get really, really clear about precisely what you're offering, then you can get your messaging very, very clear, and you'll know precisely who to target to get your testimonials from. Okay, now I can see more questions coming up, but I'm going to just finish off the last few bits, and then I'm going to come on to questions. So I don't want to keep you all day, much as I would love to. Right, okay, targeting your messaging. Now I always think of I always say my 3 R's. Make it relevant, relatable, and revealing. This is what your testimonials need to be. They've got to be relevant to your audience. They've got to be relatable to your audience. So it's people, they see that the people who are writing testimonials are people just like them. And revealing, which means that they've got to be saying something that is in keeping with the kinds of situations, pathology, dare I say, something like that your client is going through. Okay, because honestly, if your niche is helping people with insomnia, and you've got somebody talking about lumbago, it's an old term, isn't it? I haven't heard that for many, many a year. So yeah, if you've got some talk about backache, but your niche is actually in insomnia, say, then yeah, it's not a relevant testimonial, is it? It's maybe one you don't want to include. Right, let's have a little look. So how to ask for testimonials and reviews. Right, so how we ask for testimonials is we ask for them at the moment of maximum happiness. What does that mean? It means that when you've been working with somebody, whether it's in your practice, on your retreats, for example, obviously I'm looking at you, Ross, because you're running retreats. Yeah, hi. And I know we've got people in, Janet, I believe you're teaching, aren't you? Yeah. And so, I know that we've got people teaching. So when the person's graduated from your courses, or when somebody's actually just finished your retreat, or somebody's come to see you and they've had a fantastic result, you've dealt with their presenting pathology and they're doing really, really well. That's the point of maximum happiness. And that's the point where you go, right, you give them a piece of paper Or alternatively, you actually say, I've just got a few questions because it would mean the absolute world to me if I could possibly get a testimonial from you, because it really will help me to help other people who are exactly in the same situation as you. Now, you can give them a piece of paper with the questions on it, and literally they will sit there and fill it out, which is fine. Alternatively, if you want to do the writing, you can just ask them, say 3 questions. I've got the questions which we'll go through in just a sec. Okay, so but you've got to strike there and then, because if you say to somebody, as my lovely chappie did the other day, so they've been to see you, they've had a fantastic result, and then you phone them up or you send them an email saying, would you mind giving me a testimonial? They're just going to go, yeah, sure, of course I will, absolutely, you've really helped me. Then they get busy and it doesn't get done, because there are so many more pressing things that we've all got going on in our lives. So you've got to hit them there and then, otherwise you won't get it, or it's unlikely that you would get it. Okay. So the sorts of questions. Why did you come to me in the first place? Can you describe how you felt at the time? How did you find the sessions? Not how did they get there on the number 9 bus, but what was your experience in the sessions? And how are you doing now? Now that actually should give you a lot of information there. It should actually give, just seeing if I can actually copy all of this. And I'm going to drop these into the box, into the chat box, okay? Just let me come back to you. There we go, my lovelies. Those are the questions. So why did you come to me in the first place? So that's trying to elicit, I came to see Jayney because I was suffering from menopause symptoms and burnout. That's my demographic. And then you could say, can you describe how you felt at the time? I felt completely wrung out. I just had no energy. I couldn't sleep. I was having most horrendous menopausal hot flushes, vaginal dryness, wrinkling skin, gaining weight like there's no tomorrow, and losing my hair. Okay, loads of symptoms there, loads and loads and loads. How did you find the sessions? Well, I really enjoyed the sessions with Jayney. I really felt empowered. I felt like she really listened to me. I felt like for the first time in forever, I was actually listened to. And as you know, that's what we get, don't we, with our clients? It really is a case of, very often the first time anybody's actually listened to them to the really, really nitty gritty degree. How are you doing now? Well, then they'll say something like, and now I feel absolutely amazing. My energy's back. My mojo's back. I fancy my boyfriend again. My libido's 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10 on a good day. And my hair's growing back. I've lost all that weight around my middle. I'm just raring to go. See, so you see the story evolving. That's what we want. And then finally, would you recommend my services to others in the same position as you? And obviously, if they say yes, which you assume they would do, obviously, if they're so happy with what's happened, then you'd say, well, that's absolutely fantastic. Would it be okay if I use this as a testimonial? Because it will help me to help lots of other people who are suffering just as you were. Okay, hope that makes sense. Right, then you must, if you're going to use a testimonial, you must ask for and get written permission, explain exactly what identifying information would be most useful for you to include, and make sure the person is happy for you to do that. Now, with testimonials, the most effective testimonial is a picture of the person with their name and the town they come from. Okay. If you can't get that, the person's name and the town they come from, especially if you are a geographical business, okay? If you've got a location where people come to. Failing that, you can just say, just their initials, like AJ, Wokingham, Berkshire, England, that sort of thing, all right? But you've got to have some sort of an identifier. Now, the other thing that you need to say to them is that at any time, if they want you to take that testimonial down, then you will do so immediately, no questions asked. because that helps the person to feel a little bit safer about, well, what if I don't want that up there for any reason, if it's too intrusive or whatever. And you can then talk with them and say, obviously we don't want this to be personally identifiable, especially if they've said you just use my initials. As I say, if you can use a photo of the person, and ideally, if you're doing things like weight loss and such, like if you do a before and after picture, then, if you get permission to use a before and after picture, job done. If you get a few of those on your website, golden, you are golden, you are set, you are good to go. The only thing you've got to do is just make sure you've got your search engine optimization right, and you've got a business. That will drive your business more so than anything else would that you could possibly do. Okay, right. Now, different types of testimonials. We've just spoken about written testimonials. Even better are video testimonials. Just ask your person if they could potentially jump onto a video call with you and just record it on Zoom. Get the person, so spotlight the person. There's a little drop down button. When you mouse over the person's picture, there are 3 little dots. You click on the 3 little dots and then it says pin this video or spotlight this video for everybody. And what that does, when you click on record at the bottom of the screen, it's very intuitive, you'll figure it out. If you get stuck, just send me an email or call me, whatever, I'll talk you through it. Then you actually just, at the bottom, you click on record on your computer or to the cloud, doesn't matter either way, and it will actually video, and it will video them rather than you. Okay, so you'll be a little thumbnail, you won't be videoed. And so what actually then happens is you get this fantastic video, and it's a video testimonial. Again, you would ask them those questions, and then if you've got, it doesn't matter if you can't edit out your own words. So if you can't edit out your own words, do it as a conversation. Okay, I did some video testimonials recently for some of my lovely course attendees. But if you can edit out the questions, it's really nice because, and you can get the person to say, if you just repeat the first part of the question. So, the questions being, la 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 la. Okay, so why did you come to me in the first place? Just say to them, could you say, I came to Jayney in the first place because. Okay, so you get the feel, yeah? Can you describe how you felt at the time? At the time, I felt, la la la, and it flows in a really, really nice way for video. I hope that helps. Right, okay. Yes, now, finally, my last 2 bugbears before I let you go. Sorry, I have overrun. I thought it was going to be quicker, but I think we've covered a lot of very, very, hopefully, very useful ground today. Finally, no medical conditions should be mentioned on your website. In video, it's not so much of a problem. Even in testimonials, you shouldn't, but it's a grey area, okay? But you are far better if you're saying things like, if the person says, instead of saying, the person comes to you and says, I was suffering from menopausal symptoms, in terms of for the Advertising Standards Authority, and I have been taking them to task for this for many, many years, and they will not accept any kind of research guidance on this at all. It's ridiculous. The Advertising Standards Authority believes that menopause is a medical condition rather than a natural life period of time that women go through, and yeah, honestly, it just drives me absolutely batty. But anyway, there you go. They're idiots, and what can I say? Not my favourite people, as you can obviously tell. I've had my battles, as you know. Anyway, so the thing is that the reason why we mustn't name named medical conditions on our websites is because websites are deemed to be adverts. And if you name a medical condition, you have to be a medical doctor to do that. If you do that and you're not a medical doctor and you're claiming to treat a particular medical condition, it's the equivalent essentially of really claiming to practice medicine without a license, as ridiculous as that may seem. And I know it's ridiculous, and I have every sympathy for you if you are right now spitting feathers. So what you've got to do is you've got to analogize. So for example, instead of your client saying, I came to Joe because I was suffering from insomnia, you wouldn't say insomnia, you would say, I was having difficulty sleeping. And so you can prime, you can explain to people why we can't say this, that, or the other. Or if you get a testimonial, okay, if it's a Facebook testimonial, somebody says, I had terrible insomnia. I saw Janet, and my insomnia is now gone. I sleep through the night. That's fine. It really is. It's just those sorts of things that you can, people can say on their Facebook, on Facebook reviews, because it's not really deemed to be an advert. It's deemed to be somebody just saying something, giving a review. So you're safe there. But on your website, you've got to be really, really, really careful, because this is a legal issue. Although we don't pay any heed to the Advertising Standards Authority, because they are just a rubbish private company that was set up by the advertising industry to protect the advertising industry, strange as that may seem. It's a longer story, and I won't tell you all the ins and outs, but my ex was the chair of the Code of Advertising Practice Committee, the CAP committee, which oversees the actions and effects of the Advertising Standards Authority. So I have the inside track on that, and I'll tell you all about it another day. So what I want you to just do, promise me, is you won't be naming named conditions. Analogize. So for example, we don't use the word menopause because it's a named condition. We use things like hot flushes, dry skin, mood swings, blah, blah. Anybody reading that in your target audience knows exactly what you mean. You don't talk about treating eczema. You talk about treating really dry, itchy skin that was keeping me up at night. I would scratch myself until I bled. Obviously, it's eczema. Again, if you're targeting your messages correctly to the right audience, your audience, we know, probably has that, and they are going to go, oh yeah, that's me. So that's the response you want. It's, oh yeah, that's me. Okay, so there we go. Let me just check my notes and see if I've got anything else. No, I think we're there. Okay. Oh yeah, and then the other thing on your website, nothing really to do with testimonials, but to drive response. So drive people into making sure that they actually sign up, or, contact you, phone you, or whatever. All the time I see this, and it drives me absolutely, and again, my apologies, it is an Americanism, and it's come over here. It's work with me. And I have to be honest with you, it reads like, you've got jobs going, and, you want somebody to come and work with you, work for you, work in your office. So unless you really have got jobs going, do not use the words work with me. It just drives me batty, because it doesn't drive response. You might as well just not have it there. You've got to have calls to action that actually mean things to people. Your calls to action should be things like phone me, let's chat, exclamation mark, contact me now, email me, how can I help you, question mark, let me know. How can I help you, question mark, let me know here, click on the button. It goes to your sign-up page or your telephone number. All of these things are ways of driving response. Do not say work with me, because it will not drive response, and it uses up valuable real estate on your website. Okay, so here, end of the sermon. Right, I'm just going to open up the chat box and just see if there are any questions. And please, if you've got any questions, then just jot them in the box. Right, okay, so Ross says, hi, Jayney. I often see brands and individuals, particularly in the USA, offer you a gift if you give a review. Ah, fantastic question, Ross. Thank you. Okay. Technically speaking, it's if you were to offer somebody, let's say, a free treatment, that's quite an expensive way of getting a review. My personal opinion is, if the work you're doing is good enough, you shouldn't need to resort to bribery and corruption, because people should, if you're doing the work, people should actually be really more than happy to give you a review. I don't hold with offering incentives for reviews. We do see them on things like the Waitrose website, the Sainsbury's website, where you've got somebody leaving a review. It says at the top, this review was submitted by somebody who received a free product in exchange for an honest review. Personally, I don't read those reviews, because I think, okay, so the person's been given a free product, so they're going to be biased. It's not a relevant review. So again, I think it's a waste of space and a waste of time. That's just my personal opinion. The evidence, actually coming back, I did read, earlier on when I was doing the research, I did read, and it does say it's not such a great, tactic, but it is used more in the USA. You're absolutely right, and it's not really very good. Hi, Sarah, lovely Sarah Praise, wonderful insight. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Yeah, Robert Cialdini is the reciprocity guy. So yeah, he's amazing. Heather says, you mentioned using Vimeo rather than YouTube on websites because of the YouTube automatically moving onto your competitor videos. Is it correct, though, that YouTube embedded videos are better for SEO? I would do both. It's a brilliant question. Thank you. It's a fantastic question. And I really had to pause there because I was thinking, wow, okay, yeah, that's deep. Yes, okay, I personally would do both. On your site, put a Vimeo because you don't want somebody then clicking on to a competitor. So you're using video on your site to sell, okay? So don't then help somebody to navigate off and go somewhere else. You really don't want that to happen. Or to start binging other videos, and then you might see, some random thing come up that, just, what we're like, bright, shiny object syndrome, like me, oh, a butterfly, So no, don't put YouTube videos on your website. Use Vimeo for your website. But what you can do is repurpose that video and stick it up on YouTube. And then that's also making a link back to your website. That's fine to do that. Okay, it is a good thing to do. And I know what you mean. If you've got a YouTube video on your site and that YouTube video is getting hits, it then does translate as sort of, gosh, for the various algorithms, for search engine algorithms and so on, it does sort of push you up. It's not going to make a huge amount of difference, though. There are better ways of SEOing your site, search engine optimization, search engine optimizing your site. But thank you for that. Does that make sense, Heather? Have I answered that in a helpful enough way? Sarah says, you mentioned using Vimeo rather than YouTube on websites because, oh, hold on. Oh, Sarah says, hang on. Oh, she says, would be interested in knowing more about this too. Okay, Sarah, so hopefully that's answered the question for you. Right, then I put up, why did you come to me in the first place? Can you describe how you felt at the time? So all of those notes are there for you. Right, Sally, can we say help prevent type 2 diabetes? Technically, type 2 diabetes is a named medical condition. You can give it a go. You can give it a go. You can give any of these things a go. But if anybody ever says anything to you, just go, oops, sorry. I didn't realize. I will take it down immediately. Take it down, okay? Because it is, there are legality issues here. I would never advise you to do anything illegal, obviously. You can try it out and see where you get to that. But I would actually say, help prevent the onset of metabolic conditions, including type 2 diabetes, syndrome X, excess visceral fat accumulation. And I would extrapolate and extrapolate and embellish. That's how I would do it. That way, that the person reading it knows it's still applying to them. But look at the symptoms. Look at the symptoms of type 2 diabetes, and major on the symptoms rather than the name of the condition. Great question, Sally. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Heather says, thank you. That's great. All right. Ross says, if you have Google My Business, there's great opportunity to promote yourself for free and clients can leave reviews here too. Yes, Ross, thank you very, very much indeed. That's absolutely right. Yes, it's a very, very good system. So that's Google My Business, everybody. Okay, so please do take a note of that. Great one, Ross. Thank you so much for the reminder. Charlotte, lovely, our lovely Charlotte says, thank you so much. Brilliant session. Bye for now. Yes, she always has to go at that sort of time. Yeah, that's fine. And Sandrine says, thank you, Jayney, for a very informative session. That's very kind. You're very welcome, Sandrine. Are there any questions? I'm sorry, it's already 4:20. I don't honestly know how we got through all of that in that amount of time. I thought it was going to be a quick one today. I was hoping so anyway, but thank you for being with me, everybody. It's really very kind of you. Have I got any more questions at all? Or are we all good? Let me just pop us all on to gallery view so we can all say thank you. Thanks ever so much, everybody. So if there's nothing further, remember, you can always drop me a line. If there's nothing further, then, just let me know. And I'm always more than happy to help out and in any way I can. I'm only ever a phone call, an email, or a social media message away. And I also want to say, Lauren, could you give everybody a wave? That's our lovely Lauren Johnson. She's lovely. We're so excited to have her on board with us. And obviously, poor Lauren, she's doing all her training at the moment, but very soon she'll be up to speed. And so anyway, Lauren, I'm looking forward to seeing you early Monday morning. So and I hope your travels go well, because I know you've got a long journey and all the rest of it. So take care, everybody. Have a lovely weekend. Thank you for being with me, and I shall talk to you soon. Big hugs, lots of kisses. Bye. Take care. Bye.